Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. It's been a while. Sorry for the long wait, but I have been focusing most of my time on a charity event that has been quite successful, so thank all of you for supporting me if you had done so. But let's get back to the assemblies, shall we? I'm your host and foreman, Douglas Scoundrels. Today we are assembling the Loyalty to the Coin box for the Outcast faction. The Mercenary keyword box contains 3 miniatures. Taelor, this lovely lady in the back here with the big, well, it's a hammer, you can't see the end of it. Big Jake, largest Jacob, this mysterious man here, and the Student of Conflict, this child wielding swords. That is our artwork on the back, renders. There's the big hammer, Taelor with her love of alcohol, Big Jake being big, and Jake, and the student. Alright, that's the box. Let's look at our sprues. Here are our sprues with Taelor and the Student of Conflict on one because they are the newer sculpts, and Big Jake by himself because he is a 2nd edition sculpt. We are not going to do box order with these minis because that would just be kind of weird, so we'll go ahead and do Big Jake first, followed by, we'll say, Taelor, and then the Student of Conflict. There are no instructions online for this box, it seems, so we'll be going into it blind, but they are at least human-shaped, so it shouldn't be too difficult for us. But a lot more bits than I was expecting for Taelor or the Student. But again, at least they're human-shaped, so it shouldn't be too hard. So let's build ourselves a Big Jake. So despite him being the older sculpt, at least I thought he was older sculpt, but he's got the frame of newer. Anyways, I'll grab the body and then do the left leg, and then we'll do this decorative bit that's on his waist. Then we can do our left arm, the right arm, and then the head. Easy peasy. Let's start with these 2 bits. Here we have a Big Jake body. Now we just need to add our Big Jake leg, our left leg in fact, right there. You can see our seam, make sure it's nice and flush right there. Stare at his butt a little bit. Okay, next bit is that adornment. That's going to go right here in this very obvious connection point. That bit, you can see right here, that round spot sticking up is just going to fit right on his crotch. You can see right there. So add it now. There's that. Let's do the left arm, the one not holding the tomahawk. So because of that big sort of bulbous connection point there, it's going to take some squishing and re-squishing to get it sort of deform and properly mold to a point where that seam will do a good job of mostly disappearing. You just need to keep squishing it on there. Okay, let's do the right arm, the one holding the tomahawk, going into the shoulder socket. What a menacing pose. Okay, now we just got a head to fit right on top there, and he'll be done. Put the head on now. And a very easy connection. Alright. Big Jake's all done. Let's put him on a base. Big Jake is done. Didn't really have a hard part. Hardest part I get the left arm. That shoulder was just required a little bit more squishing to get in than the rest of the bits on him, but fairly simple model, almost definitely the simplest one in this box, so I'm not going to complain. And he's hot. Anyways, let's move on. Alright, Taelor's next, and our assembly order, I think we're going to go ahead, grab these 2 parts of the body, and put them together, then we'll do the legs. After that, we'll figure out the sort of cloth she's got wrapped around her waist, so these 3 pieces. Then we'll go ahead and do her left arm holding the bottle, her head, her right arm holding the hammer, the rest of the hammer shaft, and then the 2 parts of the hammer head. Actually, I think we might add those to this and then attach this to here. Yeah, I think that'll work better. So let's grab these 2 bits first. Back half of the torso plus the front half of the torso. Same looks decent. Alright, now let's do our left leg, followed by the right leg. Alright, you see on our left leg this big nice pill shape right here. That is going to fit into this nice big hole right here. I ended up pushing it as far to the front of the torso as I could, because it does have a little bit of wiggle room. But now we should be able to sit the the right leg right next to it. So go ahead and do that now. Okay. Neither of her hips should be poking out past the belt. That looks pretty good. Alright, give me a second while I figure out these cloth flaps. So it looks like there are 3 cloth pieces, and the large one is going to go on her back across her butt right here. That bit being this one. So add that now. There we go. That fits in just fine. Just make sure you squish it to get the seam to close. Okay. Front crotch flap is split into 2 parts. You can see up here, and we'll go ahead and connect them together before we add them to the mini. This is our left side, effectively her right side. Our right side, effectively her left side. So we're going to connect this side of this bit to this side of this bit, if I recall correctly. Yep, that's where those go. So I'm going to go and clip those out. I'll show you how they combine. Okay, really hard to see, but you might be able to make out on the edge there a sort of ridge connection point. Yeah, there you go. There's that. And on this one, a indentation connection point. And that's how they will connect, like so. Oh, there we are. Let's look at the inside. Now that's just going to fit right on her crotch. Before and after. Okay, that's probably the hard part of the box. So now let's go ahead and do her alcohol arm, the left arm. God, I love the fact that she's drinking on the job so much. Alright, anyway, let's put her head on. Okay. Looks like I may have trimmed off too much of the neck of the torso bit, so keep that in mind to be a little bit more careful than what I was. It looks fine on this side, it's just the spacing. It's a little wonky on this side. Right, okay, let's do her right arm holding the bottom half of the hammer shaft. Okay, arms in. I think it's going to be sitting independent of the rest of the body, so it doesn't actually matter a whole ton how accurate you are to getting the shoulder in there, as long as it sits in there. Alright. Okay, let's go and grab another piece of the hammer and get the hammer heads in there. So let's grab this bit and then figure out where these pieces go. Okay, well, there is actually a easily defined top and bottom bit to those, because it turns out the runes that are etched into them are unique. And so you can just match up which one is the top and the bottom with the render on the back of the box. But to be able to actually figure out the top and the bottom, it'd be easier if we just went ahead and attached the hammer bit to her. So we're actually going to just go ahead and attach that now, like so. You can see that there is half of a nubbin there, and there's half of a nubbin in there. So it'll be easy enough to get them to attach, and you can probably also glue that to her shoulder as well. Yeah, this will just take a pretty long time of mildly adjusting it and waiting for it to cure, for it to be nice and straight for you, but it's done for me. So let's go and slide it down. Quickest way to do it, here's Taelor. This is the bottom piece, this is the top piece as it sits on her shoulder. So we'll pop that in, and then this one, and you can match the runes to the render, but there's really only way that they're going to be able to attach to the head of the hammer anyways. So let's add this piece first, followed by this piece. And there's half our hammerhead. Now let's do the top. And there we be. Hammer done. And that's a done Taelor. Let's put her on a base. Taelor is done. Hardest part for her was getting that skirty bit together and on her, and then aligning that the two halves of her hammer. It was a little weird, a little hard, more time intensive, I guess, than really weird or hard. But I guess yeah, it's a difficulty all in of its own. The time it took to do that. Yeah, other than that, mostly just figuring out how things assemble because there's no instructions. But that's more difficulty for me than you, and you know how they go together now. Thanks to me, you're welcome. Let's do our last model now. There, Student of Conflict, last model. I think we probably can combine the two halves of the torso, followed by both the legs and the skirt. And then we can do is this the left or the right hand? Hard to tell sometimes. Let's do the right arm, yep. Then the left arm, the left hand, and combine the two halves of the head and put that on top and call it done, right? So let's start with these two bits then. Alright, here's the back of our student. Now let's add the front of our student. And there they are combined. Seam is not too bad. Alright. Next few steps. Got left leg, right leg, and the skirt sort of on the back right part of her body. So now let's do the left leg. There's the left leg. Okay, and it looks like actually we need that rest of the skirt to go in before we can properly fit the right leg in. So we're going to go ahead, the rest of the skirt's just going to complete the whole skirt right along there. Okay, now it's a lot easier to see how that right leg is supposed to fit in there. Let's add it now. Okay, that matches the render. I'm pretty sure that's a very accurate way that's supposed to go in. So we're going to call that good. Now let's go ahead and add her one complete arm, the right arm, and that nice little socket on her shirt. This really is kind of free form. There's not a good solid purchase of that connection point, so you're just going to have to eyeball it and get it to a spot you like, or try to make it match the render as much as possible. But this is a spot I like, and it mostly matches the render. So we're going to call that good. Now let's add the one nubbin arm bit for her left arm next. And there's that. Now let's just add her hand with a knife. And there is our hand. I need to fix my light. There we go. Okay, now let's combine the two halves of our head. Back half plus the front half. Alright, now just plop this on our neck hole. And there's the head attached. And we're all done with the Student of Conflict. Put her on a base. The Student of Conflict is completed. Hardest parts with her is just the fact she has a bunch of tiny bits, specifically the left arm and the left hand. Those were hard. I spent like a good 10 minutes digging that left hand and sword out of my carpet. That sucked. Other than that, the placement of the legs was kind of weird. Definitely using the render as a point of reference was a good way to make sure that they went in more or less where they were supposed to go. And placing the arms in the shoulder sockets was kind of guesswork, but nothing wrong with them being slightly out of angle. As long as they look like arms and not broken arms, you're fine. So I wouldn't complain too much about that. Let's look at the whole box now. The loyalty to the coin box is done, containing Big Jake, Taelor, and the Student of Conflict. The hardest parts were the little bits on the Student of Conflict and Taylor's skirty bits. Although the time it took to get the two parts of the hammer shaft together was a bit of a pain. That was more time intensive than really difficulty. Yeah, that was really it for difficulty. A bit more complexity than I really wanted in a bunch of humanoid figures, but definitely not the hardest humans I've put together. Overall, I'd give it a solid maybe 6 out of 10 for as far as Malifaux models go. And they are pretty darn pretty. And I will defend 3rd edition Taelor over 2nd edition Taelor to my last dying breath. She has so much more character than the last one. Fight me. Anyways, I've been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build better Malifaux. Have a good night.